Thank you, Fred. Yes, today we're very fortunate to be joined by Carina Hoang. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Nisha. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Now, Carina is a special representative for Australia for the UNHCR and is going to be speaking at our upcoming United Nations Association of Australia Day UN event, which will be held on United Nations Day, the 24th of October 2012. So, I've got you on the show and I'm so excited because your role at the moment, you've recently been appointed as a special representative for Australia. Can you tell us a bit about your background and how you've made it to this point?
Nisha, I escaped from Vietnam by boat in 1979 and I was 16 at that time with my two little sister and brother. So we were unaccompanied minors from Vietnam to Indonesia, and then we were left stranded on an uninhabited island at a jungle in Indonesia for a while. But eventually we made it to America as refugees, and I moved here 6 years ago because my husband is from Perth and I'm proud to be here.
That's lovely, and I imagine that experience has stuck with you during your time here in Australia now, because I know you're doing some very good work, and we do have the book here, The Boat People, in front of us, which has been acclaimed both nationally and internationally. This has your story, I understand, from when you left after the Vietnam War?
It has a little bit of my story in there, but it's a collection of 38 stories told by the survivors of the Vietnam Exodus, and also a few people who were not the refugees, but they helped the boat people or rescuers at seas, and they shared their experiences of how the Exodus had meant to them.
And the gentleman who you asked to forward the book, he was quite instrumental, wasn't he? Tell us about him.
You mean Mr. Malcolm Fraser?
Yes.
Like I said, I was a refugee in America, but when I came here, I couldn't hear enough good things about how Mr. Fraser was actually the one who accepted the Vietnamese boat people to Australia, and we all are extremely grateful for him as well as for the Australian and the government for accepting us and give us a home.
And it is quite timely, I think, that there is a bit of education across Australia in regards to boat people coming to Australia, because there is a story, and I think that's the power of your book and why you've been asked as well recently. I will toot your own horn because you are very humble, but you have been asked to tour Australia and present contents of this book to schools, haven't you?
Yes, the book is very well received. It's beyond my expectation, actually, and I'm very happy about that. And apparently a lot of students and high school teachers have been using this book for their homework to learn about history, and I've been asked to give talks to students from primary to high school to even universities. And I think that learning history through personal stories is always much more enjoyable.
Fantastic, and Australia is going to do a lot of great work. I know from the UNAA we are working on getting a more solid human rights framework into Year 11 and 12 for all students across the country, and I'm sure that you're going to be instrumental in that as well. In terms of education, do you have any views at the moment, and I'm not being political at all because I know that you've got the loveliest approach in terms of telling your story, but do you have any views in terms of moving forward, what we can do perhaps in Year 11 and 12 to improve the education and understanding of our younger generation?
There are a number of things that we can learn from this history, really, because it's not just the generosity of the country that's accepting the boat people, but also the contribution of the refugees that came to this country, what they have brought with them. The lives of the people here has certainly been enriched by the refugees, culturally as well as economically. And it is also helped the students to have a bit more compassion and look at the situation with humanities rather than just statistics. Because often we hear how people, that the number of people arrive by boats, but we hardly hear about how they arrived. We hardly know of the journeys where people might die of thirst and hunger, or even rape and attacked by pirates along the way. I know that it might not happen now with the pirates attacks, but it did happen to us many years ago, multiple times.
Sure. And look, I would love to have you on the show, and we will maybe in a few weeks' time, to talk more through your story. because I do believe it's the education piece that we need to get out there as well. But unfortunately, we don't have as much time on today's show. But for everyone at home, if you would like to find out more, you can go to Carina Hoang's website, which is www.carinahoang.com. Otherwise, you can go to thecouch.com.au and click on the link after today's show and you'll be able to find out more. But make sure, if you are interested in knowing a little bit more, that you do attend the United Nations Day event held on 24th of October this year. You can find out more information on the couch.com website, but we do have Professor Gillian Triggs, who is the Australian Human Rights Commission President, speaking, as well as a few others. So I would encourage you to find out more, but for now, back to you, Fred.
Thank you very much, Nisha. And that's the book you can see at the end of my desk before we go out to break. It's called Boat People. Please go out and buy it. It's a fantastic story, real people story about the refugees that came in '79, and we'll have Carina back on the show very, very soon.